Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So for today's head-to-head comparison, we are going to take a look at the 2024 BMW X3 M40i and the 2024 Audi SQ5. Now both of these luxury-focused SUVs are within $2,000 of each other for both their starting MSRP as well as for the exact models that are behind us. There's about a $2,000 difference with the different options that both of these vehicles have. But let's start off now with what powers both of these models. So for the Audi, this is powered by a 3-liter turbocharged V6. It's paired to an 8-speed automatic with 349 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. For the BMW, this has a 3-liter twin-power turbo inline-6 along with a 48-volt mild hybrid system, paired to an 8-speed as well, pumps out 382 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. So slightly more power with the same torque figures. Both of these models are all-wheel drive. We have the Quattro all-wheel drive and the X-Drive. We have curb weights of 4,400 pounds, 4,300 pounds, 0 to 60, 4.4 seconds for the BMW, 4.6 for the Audi, and then top speed 155 and 130. So again, nearly identical. And then as far as fuel economy goes, you're looking at 21 and 26, 19 and 24. So with those specs out of the way, let's cover the pricing real quick. We're at $61,059 for the BMW. We do have a higher starting MSRP for the Audi, but they are nearly identical, like I mentioned. So let's move on to the exterior styling now, where obviously we have very significant differences. We have the kidney grille with the Shadowline package, so it provides it with all the gloss black for this model. We have the massive hexagonal grille for the Audi. Now, for both of these specific models, we have a forward-facing camera and sensors. We just have sensors for this Audi. But you'll notice too that there's pretty similar amount of cutouts in the lower section. We do have some more for that BMW. There's also sensors for the distance pacing on the Audi, which is missing for this particular X3. And then we have 4 lines coming down the hood, 2 lines right in the middle, and then 2 on both sides there. So slightly different, of course. And their designs in their headlight housings are also much different. Honestly, I think both are very nice. I feel like BMW is a little bit more sporty looking with its overall design, a little bit more laid back with the crisp lines for the Audi there. Now, as we work our way to the side, these are the wheels for the M40i. You do have a few options, of course, that you can go with. On the Audi, they do look a little bit more generic, a little bit more laid back, like I just talked about. We have the M Sport brakes for the BMW, S-Line performance brakes for the Audi there. Both of these have power folding side mirrors, along with no camera for the Audi, just the turn signal, but we have the camera and the turn signal, and then full moonroofs for both of these. You'll notice too that this particular Audi, everything is chrome or brushed versus all of the gloss black. So just a minor trim option that you can get. For the rest of their side designs, kind of similar, a little bit more boxy in the top, the rear there, a little bit more flowing for the rear end design here. But as we work our way to the very back, we have the spoiler with the third brake light, wiper blade in the lower section, LED taillights, as well as the backup camera sensors, and then a quad tip dual exhaust there. For the BMW, same thing with the spoiler, third brake light, wiper blade, nearly identical. We have a dark set of housings for those taillights, backup camera sensors, and then a dual exhaust system, which is slightly different. Now, both of these models do have remote start. For the BMW, you can use the key fob. For the Audi, you have to use an app. So you need to download the app in order to do that. But let's move on to the cargo space now. Of course, you can use the button on the key fob for the lift gates, but in the back of the BMW, a little bit of space on that one side. There's also additional storage under the floor, so you can use that as needed. We have the cover, back seats fold down, of course, and then you can close and lock it with that button there. Now over on the Audi, we'll use the same button there, same style with the lift gate. And then we have what I'll say is roughly the same. We have a storage net on one side, a little bit of space on the other. You can actually fold down the back seats though from the cargo space, which I think is a huge plus. And then if we can get up underneath the floor here, we do have a spare tire. So you do get that for the Audi. Same cover here, just like on the BMW. So I think the one positive is that you can fold the back seats down from the cargo space. That just makes it a little more convenient. Now you can lock and unlock it with the door handles, which is nice. This model has carbon fiber. Of course, all that's going to differ. We have the storage in the lower section there. And then you can use this control to fold these seats down. Now they do recline slightly, so this is the difference here. And then at 5'10", I have a good bit of space. Now you can actually move these seats, so you can slide them forwards and backwards, whether you need more legroom or you need more cargo space. But I have plenty of room. We have climates, temperatures, auxiliaries. I have roughly 2 inches or so above my head. And then you have the armrest with 2 cup holders, and you can fold down this middle seat individually if you would like to. But I like the bolstering support that these seats have. They make them very comfortable for your backseat passengers. Now, as we work our way to the X3, same thing. You can lock and unlock with the door handle. So for these models, we have the carbon fiber interior, storage in the lower section there, and then we do have the recline button. So like in the Audi, you have a little bit of adjustment there. Now these seats do not slide forwards and backwards. So these are fixed. We have your climates, temperatures, auxiliaries too. You have the storage. I feel like I have about a ½ inch more of headroom than in the Audi there. And then we do have the same thing with the armrest and cup holders and being able to fold that middle seat down. So honestly, pretty similar. We don't have the same bolstering support for these outer 2 seats that you saw in the Audi, which I do like a little bit more. But for up front, your driver has memory seating adjustments and then all of these normal controls there with a lot more storage. And then we have the driver's seat here, of course. Now, I have full reviews of both of these vehicles, so if you want to see everything in greater detail, take a look at those videos. This is going to be fairly quick for today. So we have paddle shifters, heated steering wheel, all of your cruise adjustments, volume, tuning, everything like that. We have the digital gauge cluster, where you do have some info you can go through on that right side. Everything else is fixed. So that is the amount of info that you get. This also has a head-up display. You have your lighting adjustments, a little bit of storage, and then you have a pretty large touchscreen system where you can go through quite a lot. And like I said, full review, I go through all of this in greater detail. But you have a lot that you can scroll through and configure, including some of the technology features that are available. Now we have heated seats, all of your climate adjustments are laid out very nicely. Power and volume, you have radio adjustments, wireless charging too. And then unlike the Audi, we do have the 360 camera. I believe that is an option in the Audi, but this just gives you a lot more visibility. You have a forward-facing camera as well. And then you also have some of your aids like traction control, parking sensors, and we get a few different driving modes. So you can configure this as needed depending on the driving that you are doing. We have more auxiliaries in the middle there, along with your storage in the glove box. And as far as visibility goes, honestly, it's not all that bad. So, I mean, you can see over both shoulders. It's not a large vehicle, but you have a lot of glass, so it makes it easy to see. Should be the same once we make our way to the Audi here. Now we have memory seating adjustments, just like you saw, power folding side mirrors. These ones are actually heated too. We have the trunk release, more storage, and then a little bit different design, of course, for these seats. Start button is almost in the same spot, being located down below. We have a very nice steering wheel with paddle shifters. It's heated as well. You have your Bluetooth, voice commands, volume and tuning, and then you can even go through some info in the gauge cluster here. So it's honestly about the same as what you would see in the BMW as far as the info you can go through, and then it's fixed on both sides there. So pretty identical in that aspect, but we do get the adaptive cruise control. Now you have storage down below, headlight adjustments, one air vent, no head-up display for this particular model. But as we take a look at the infotainment system now, again, it's about the same. You have a home screen here with several icons you can go through, laid out just a little bit differently. And then you have shortcuts on the side, just like you saw in the BMW. Now, unlike the BMW, in order to get into the drive select, you do have to go into the screen. There's a shortcut down below, but this is how you can go through the different driving modes. There's an off-road setting, which the BMW does not have. We have dual zone temperature adjustments right in the middle. You can adjust the rear from up front, which you cannot do in the BMW. I think that's a huge plus. You get heated seats, traction control, engine start stop, along with parking sensors downhill, and then you can shut that upper screen off. You have a little bit of storage there, along with some more auxiliaries, more storage. You get the backup camera, and that is it for this Audi. E-brake, you have a little bit of storage, cup holders too. No wireless charging for this model, which is interesting to note. But you have storage down below, and then pretty identical, maybe a little bit different with the shape of that rear there. But honestly, it's really hard to tell if there's a difference with the visibility. Both of them seem to be about the same so far. So with the exteriors and the interiors wrapped up for the Audi SQ5 and the BMW X3 M40i, let's get both of these out on the road now and see how they compare. And as we set up now behind the wheel for the X3, definitely has a good sound to it. Paddles are very responsive. That was a mild acceleration, but it sounds good, and it definitely has a healthy amount of power to it. Now, I've been able to drive the X3s a lot. I have a full review of this exact car, so if you want to see more details on it, check out that separate video along with the Audi too. But we have a very nice interior. You have several different options, of course, that you can go with, different trim levels too. So with both of these vehicles in general, there's a lot that you can spec. This one, we have the carbon fiber, we have the audio, and we have a nice layout with the touchscreen system there, all the controls underneath it. But as far as driving it goes, it is what you'd expect from a refined company like BMW. It's very comfortable. In the comfort setting, obviously, it's going to be a little bit more forgiving, especially over bridge bumps and things like that. When you put it into sport mode, you can feel those bumps a lot more. So it's nice that you can tighten up that suspension depending on the driving that you are doing. So we do have some performance-oriented characteristics for this style vehicle. It's not something that you're necessarily taking to the track or anything like that, but you can take it on some mountain roads and know that you're going to have a vehicle that can actually handle those situations. But it's very nice to drive. It's quiet, it's comfortable, it's smooth, and you have a lot of great technology for this. It's also got a good bit of size to it too. Visibility is really easy to see around. So not too many complaints with this. I own an X5, so slightly bigger than this. So just depends on the sizing that you want. But even with this smaller size, it's definitely still nice. Still gives you adequate amount of space, and it's going to be easier to park, things like that, being a little bit smaller. So it's a great option. So it really just boils down to, do you like the layout of everything and your personal taste? But I think it's great. I do like this interior, but now let's compare how this drives to the SQ5. And in the SQ5, here we go. It is pretty hard to tell the difference. I know that the BMW has a little bit more power. It has a little bit more quicker time 0 to 60, but this seems just as quick. They are so insignificant really in their differences as far as the times go, everything that's on paper, that this seems like next to each other, it would give it a good run for its money, having the same amount of torque, just not enough to get to that same top speed. But we're in the Audi now, and honestly, you really can't go wrong with either one of these. I do like the screen layout in the BMW a little bit more, but this is still also pretty easy to go through at the same time. So just depending on the layout that you like better. But I've been able to drive a lot of the Audi models, and they are definitely smooth, comfortable, refined. I actually own an Audi and I own a BMW, so I can't really be biased towards both of them since I own one of each. You really can't go wrong. I feel like there might be a little bit more plastic surrounding the Audi versus the BMW, but the ride is what you would expect. Even in the dynamic setting, we can change that, go into comfort, just get a little bit more comfortable, of course, absorbing all of those bumps. But it drives very nicely. I have a lot of miles behind the wheel of these vehicles after test driving them. So it's going to be pretty quiet, well refined, and it's a good seating position. Everything is pretty minimal too. So it's kind of hard to really pick one or the other, but behind the wheel, definitely sounds good too. Paddles are super responsive. I do wish they were larger or a different color. they're kind of well hidden. So you wouldn't really know that they're there unless obviously you start to use them. But the steering wheel is much thinner. So I do like this design. Bulges aren't quite as thick there, but it's easy to grip the steering wheel on both sides. So back from the test drive now with the Audi SQ5 and the BMW X3 M40i. I know those were quick test drives, but again, I have full reviews if you want to see driving these through some twisty roads to really see how they perform. But I've driven them enough to know that honestly, they are both nearly identical. Like I mentioned earlier, I own a BMW and I own an Audi. So for me personally, this is a toss-up. I really don't know which one I would go with. I do like the exterior styling of the BMW a little bit more. I think it's a little bit more sporty, but the way that the Audi drives, even though it has less horsepower, same amount of torque, it almost feels a little bit more, I don't know the word, a little bit more peppy compared to the BMW. So they're nearly identical vehicles, very close in price. It really just boils down to which exterior do you like, which interior do you like. They honestly drive very identical. So unless you're driving them back to back, you're really not going to be able to tell. So you just kind of have to base it off which one you like visually better. So comment down below, are you going with the X3 or the SQ5? I don't know. I might go with the BMW, but I am a fan of the Audis as well. So hopefully that gave you a good comprehensive review of the BMW versus the Audi, and hopefully helps you decide which one you want to go with. If you're unsure, check them out in person. Let me know which one you decide to go with. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on our daily uploads, as well as checking out the full detailed reviews. And I will see you all in the next video.